Okay, I'm now on take 5 of this because I ramble so much. This is Jeremy, Jeeps Unlimited, partsbreakers.com, 303-666-9020. It's New Year's Day, 2023. Just New Year's Eve was last night. And I just processed and listed, haven't edited them yet, but our entire transmission room. I got about 40 more that I got to process outside. Yes, it's awesome being a business owner. Apologize, I'm inside of a container, so the lighting's a little weird, and or the sound is probably a little odd as well. Anyway, as I was processing these today, I wanted to finally figure out a conversion question that I myself have had, and also customers call constantly about. And it's really easy, as I've shown in these previous videos that I'm not going to post because I completely look like a mumbling clown. But it's really easy to get off on tangents when I'm in this room. I love this room because the possibilities when it comes to a Jeep in this room, I think, are the most endless. Besides axles, which have a couple of conversions you can do, but transmissions and transfer cases and you know, whatnot. I think this is, I mean, there's a lot we sell for conversions. We have AC conversions, we have manual to autos, autos to manuals, you name it. But these are manuals to manuals, and this video is what I'm going to do. And my lighting really got bad all of a sudden, so I apologize. I might have to change this light up just a little bit here. But before I do that, let me get into what I originally started this video for. So as I was processing these today, I realized that I happen to have, which I usually don't, an NSG 370 6-cylinder, an NSG 370 4-cylinder, an NV 2550 4-cylinder, and then, of course, our AX5s, AX15s, all at once. And normally I don't have all that. And I'm going to take the opportunity to help you out, or to educate you, and to learn a little bit myself as I go. So if I say something and backtrack, I apologize. I've been doing this for 18 years. I know these things pretty well. And if you take them out of this whole mess of, it's an organized mess, but off the shelf, and give me them just singly, I can tell you everything about them. You put them all together, and it's nice because we can actually look at them and see what the differences are and whatnot. So should have grabbed some water. Anyway, okay, so NSG 370, we're going to start at the top for the Wrangler TJ line of things. We're not going to get into the JKs in this video at all, 07 and newer, but we're going to go back all the way to 87 and the Wranglers, that being YJ, TJ. And actually that will apply to Comanches, XJs, possibly Grand Cherokees if you have done a conversion for a manual in one of those. But first and foremost, let's start at the top. This is an NSG 370. Okay, this is also an NSG 370. The first thing I want to point out, and it's one of the big questions we get, is can you use a 4-cylinder, this is the 2.4 NSG 370 6-speed, on a 6-cylinder, or vice versa? And the answer to that is no, not bolt on. And frankly, I get questions about can you use the case front halves on them? And the answer to that, I don't know. You might, but I assume that Jeep, being a manufacturer, and if they could get away with it, you know, one size fits all kind of thing, they would have, and it wouldn't just be the front of this case being different, but that could be all it is. We're going to go off the assumption that they are different inside as well. But I want to point out real quick to you, and it's probably obvious if you've looked at these now just for a few minutes with me, the flat top of this guy will give this one away. The roundness, this pattern here is an old pattern. It's been around for ages. Even 4.2s have this pattern. So there's, I mean, you can go back to the 70s on this guy here. This guy here, you can only go back to 03 on, technically. This transmission was only offered 05 to 06. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now, NSG 370 6-speed can be used on everything I just mentioned, pretty much. I'm in Colorado. It's extremely dry right now. So, and I've already talked a lot right now. I'm going to have a sore throat tonight. Anyway, this can be converted into TJs, YJs, XJs, Comanches. There's not much you have to do to them. There is some. It's not complete, but there's no fabricating. It's bolt on if you have all the pieces. So if you're looking to do that, convert your, let's say, AX15 to a 6-speed or NV3550 5-speed to a 6-speed, give us a call. If you have an internal slave and want to go to external slave, we sell those kits as well. Give us a call. Okay. Now, the one right before the NSG 370, which I don't have here, I do have in the garage, but is the NV3550, new venture. Okay. That one went from 2000-ish, some 99s had them, very late ones, to 2004. Okay. So 2004, the new process, new venture, NV3550. Okay, and that one that's a 5-speed, and that one can also be converted. Go forward, you can replace one of these with it, or you can go backwards and replace AX15s. One thing to note that I haven't made a fair assumption. Okay, again, just because you can convert them in doesn't mean they'll just boom, boom, and done. The input shafts on the back of transfer cases, okay, the input is that side there. It's the shaft length. Does change specifically in TJs. And so they have long ones, they have short ones. So you do need to make sure. Otherwise, you'll need to swap your transfer case or replace, swap that piece out of the transfer case. We sell a complete kit, so it makes it real easy if you're looking to do one of these swaps. Okay, so we've gone through the new venture. Now let's go to the 99 and older. That's going to be your AX15s here. These go from 94 to 99, early 99. Yes, you can find them in 90s to 93, but there's a big difference on those. Is they're internal slaves from 92 to 93. So AX15s, that's another question I get a lot. They are pretty much the same. And if you're fairly mechanically inclined and know your way around shops, you can use one. But if you want a simple swap and you have a 94, 95, or let's just put it 94 all the way up to 99, then you're going to want to stick with that era. And that's going to be an external slave like you see on this guy. Okay. If you have a 92, 93, you're going to go into this guy. Okay. Now, these two are slightly different tail housings for, these are Wranglers, to a Cherokee or Comanche. The Cherokee Comanche, and I'm not going to get too much into this, but the tail housings are clocked, not the transfer case. People always get confused that the transfer cases are different. They're the same. The actual AX15s back here, where you see these bolt holes, are slightly twisted, not twisted, but clocked, to allow for the transfer case to sit in a tunnel differently on the bottom of the Jeep. But again, that's a whole nother discussion. Just the AX15, okay, so 92, 93 are internal slaves. And then before that, this is another thing that people aren't aware about. 9091, okay, we use 9091s for obviously 9091, but we also use 9091s to convert people away from BA10, the Peugeot, that's notorious. People know those very well. If you want to switch out from a Peugeot transmission and you want the easiest swap possible, then you're going to want to find a 1990 or 1991 AX15. Yes, you can use a later one, okay? But for a bolt-on, easy swap, you're going to want to stick with that, okay? Now, if you have an 87 to 93 and you want to swap out to an external slave, we sell that kit. I may have already mentioned that. It's complete, bolt-on. We even have the new parts to go along with it. And you can get a hold of us. They're, sometimes they're listed, but if they're low on stock, they're not always listed. So you can call us for one of those. But, okay, the only big difference, and I won't get too specific on these, but this is a 9091, okay? This is obviously later, and then we have this one. So let's just compare a 92, 93 quickly to a 9091. The only real big difference on these two, first and foremost, is the pilot tip, okay? Look at this guy here. It's real long, real skinny. I always call it the pencil tip. And then you look at this guy, and it's like not as long and a lot more, thicker. I mean, it's a lot more meat on this shaft. So the other thing that is different, and again, it makes it a little bit easier to convert to them when you use this one from a Peugeot, is the bosses here. Screw that boss, right? If you don't know what a boss is, I'm gonna show you. That guy right there, okay? Where your transfer case shifter goes. If you have a TJ, this is an insignificant point because they don't use that style anymore for the transfer case shifter. But the transfer case shifter on the YJs utilizes those. So if you look at that guy there, and then you go to these newer style ones, this is both of these, okay? This is the 92, 93 ones, okay? So the case back here. So now we have the same boss here. It actually might be slightly different, but there's an additional one here for the transfer case shifter, okay? So that gives you pretty much the rundown of 6 cylinders. Now, the funny thing is about this video is I actually didn't even mean to do all that. The whole purpose of this video originally was to basically answer a question that I've had for a few years. And I've been so busy as a boss, as the owner, and trust me, not always what I want to be. I haven't had the time to do this, other than just knowing what, tech boards say and whatnot. So they've always said they won't work to convert from an NSG 370 6-speed into an earlier pre-2003. And I didn't even know if they'd work on the 03, 04, but I did find that out just today. These will work. So you can take an NSG 370 6-speed and put them, basically bolt them right onto a 2003, 2004 and replace the NV 2550, that guy over there. And my flash is off. That's why this stupid thing's not working right. Anyway, I'm not going to redo the video again for that. But so you can swap the two, NV 2550 to an NSG and vice versa. Okay. I, for a long time, thought we could probably get away with putting in a 6-speed into a 4-cylinder, but not going to work. Not easily. Maybe possible, but I'd have to have an adapter plate in between the two. I'm sure of it. Here's an AX5 and this is the same bell housing essentially from 87 all the way up to 2002. Again, minus a few things. The slaves change and a couple other weird mounts on it, but by and large, they're the same. This is a lot. I don't have a tape, but this is way more less width than this guy here. They're not even the same. And I held up the two. These two are virtually the same. All the holes line up and everything. So you cannot use that NSG 370 on a AX5. Not bolt on. Well, maybe bolt on, but not out of the box. Okay. So 2003 to 2006, we're going to have it listed as that because now we know it. But technically, it was manufactured 05, 06 only. We're also going to put the NV 2550 03 to 06 as well. Again, this one was only offered 03, 04, and this is obviously the bell housing. Now, the only other thing, and I don't know if I talked about this at all, those being fitted, case molded bell housings, you cannot separate the two. You have to pull off the whole, you have to split the whole transmission. That whole transmission is going to come apart if you split that thing. So, okay, these are removable bell housings, which was awesome that Jeep did this and so many of their lines because you can do slave cylinder conversions and you can swap transmissions and yada, yada, yada. This one will come off. And ironically, I just checked this, but you can, I don't know why you do this, but you can put well, I guess this would make sense actually. So you can put an NV 2550, this guy here, and you can put an AX15 bell housing on it. So you could use that on a 6-cylinder. I wouldn't do it that way because I don't think they'd hold up, but who knows? And typically the other reason I wouldn't do it is 2550s are usually hard to find. They're usually more expensive. So 3550s are probably half the cost and not always easy to find, but easier, okay? As I'm thinking about it, now this is what happened last time I went off on this tangent and I put myself in a rat hole and I couldn't back out of it, so I had to redo the video. An AX15 bolt pattern for the bell housing or an MD3550, the same thing for one of those guys or an MD3550 is the same pattern as this guy is, as this face is. So what does that mean? If I'm not mistaken, that would mean that you can take an AX15 or an NV3550 and mount it to, this is unverified, I haven't done this yet, but in theory, you could take one of those transmissions and use this bell housing. You'd have to have this bell housing right here, but you could use that behind your 2.4. That would be the direction to go in. You wouldn't want to go the other way, but there would be a reason possibly to go that direction. Specifically, if you have this guy, because, or even that guy. These guys, I love having them, and I'd love to sell you one if you need one, but these guys are expensive. NV2550s are at least $1,500. This one's low miles. You can get them a little bit less if they're higher miles, but that guy's like at 66K. Those guys are more sometimes. I think we have them marked down a little bit right now, but so that would allow you, in theory, again, I haven't tried this, but, and the pilot tip might still be slightly, you'd have to mic this and see, but I'm thinking that you could take an AX15, which you can get those for anywhere from $800 to $1,000, good running with warranty, and an NV3550 for a little bit more, and made it behind, and then you'd have a pretty killer setup because these 2.4s are so derated for power, and those, especially the NV3550s, are marked for a lot of power. Probably to have a bomb-proof transmission. So if you're interested in doing that one I'm going to have to do a little bit more fitting. Actually take this guy and actually put it on the transmission. The starters are different from these guys. If you notice, this guy and this guy both have the same place. These guys switch them over to the passenger side, which is the traditional way. But everything else should be the same. So you would need the shifter assembly, obviously, and then the bell housing, which you may have. If you have a 2550, you would not need the bell housing. If you have an NSG 370, you would need the bell housing. And then from there, it would just be pick your transmission out, and there'd be a whole line of, you can go with AX15s, NV3550, NSG 370 4-cylinder. You couldn't use the other one on it, but you could use the 4-cylinder. Now, if you're wondering, could you use an AX5? And no, you can't. Again, not at least with the factory setups. Advanced adapters or one of the other outfits might make some sort of bell housing to convert that. But from a factory standpoint, and mainly it's right here, this face here, I'll show you briefly, the AX, and it's so dark over here, I apologize, but these are super skinny. I mean, I can, so it's flat here, and then it kind of comes in on the AX5s. This is I'm not even confused with that one. That's a 2550. But they have the same as these guys. So, but see, it's a little bit flat here, but it's really just, I always call these the round look of them. Okay, so I've chatted a ton load, and hopefully I haven't confused the crap out of you. I'll try to write some notes and put them in the description for you. But definitely give us a call, 303-666-9020, and let us work out conversions for you. I think you're going to find that while we might be a couple $100 higher, and I won't disagree with that ever, but I've been doing this for 18 years, and there's a reason that we've stayed around. One is customer service. We're impeccable. We try to be. I would say once in a handful of people in a year that may not be happy, and honestly, that would probably be stretching it. We really try to please everybody that we can, and a lot of it comes from just the initial sell, just being honest and upfront with people and showing them what we get. We do videos on about everything. So, and then the other thing is too is if we sell you a conversion kit and we tell you in the ad, I mean, some of them may say you need this or this, they're not included, but if we say in the ad it includes, you know, everything and it is bolt on, you're going to get everything and it is bolt on. If it doesn't work that way, and I got to send you more parts, that comes out of my pocket. I don't call you up, or you don't call me up and say, hey, and say, oh, good luck. You know, it's just not how we do things. So, yeah, spend, you know, I don't want to, I always tell people I'm not going to sit here and try to convince you to buy from us. But I will tell you, don't look at us for the money standpoint. We're not double, but we are usually a little bit higher. If you want cheap, go to eBay. I mean, honestly, we don't even sell on eBay anymore. It's such a pain in the ass to sell on eBay. And mainly because the way that they do their product listings. So if you're looking for super cheap and you don't really care about warranty, you don't really care about putting the thing in 4 or 5 different times until you get it right, because that's what happens a lot of times, then jump on there. Jump on Craigslist, jump on Facebook. Those are great. Those are absolutely great if you have time and sometimes more money, because oftentimes you get something that doesn't work the first time and the guy or lady won't warranty it for you. So we warranty everything 90 days. We figure that gives you more than enough time. Now, we do make a little bit of an occasion with that. We know these are projects. These don't tend to be as big a projects as our frames and tubs are, but these can still be projects. So we ask you, try to get it in the next couple weeks, and then give us a holler, send us an email when you get it in. Give us a photo of your Jeep, photo of the installed, and we'll set the clock then for the 90 days. I don't, we do it just because we offer it. I mean, customer service is customer service. So anyway, I appreciate everything, guys. It's been a hell of a year, 2022. And obviously this is the beginning of 2023, but I didn't get a chance to make a closing video for the year like I wanted to. And so this is my opening New Year's video, and just saying thank you for everybody out there. Thank you for our recent order. We had a huge East Coast run all the way out to Maine, Orient Island, New York, or not Orient Island, Shelter Island, New York, Orient Point. I even took a ferry. I actually delivered those. So that was a huge order for us. We had 16 deliveries. And we're going to do another one here soon. We're going to do the Northwest here soon. Small parts we'll just ship to you, but the big stuff, get a hold of us. I'm usually on my way out at some point, and I love meeting people in person. I don't always have a lot of time when I do drops, but it is a cool thing to be able to do. If you have any questions about any manual conversion when it comes to a Jeep, give me a shout. If I don't know it, I usually have somebody in my Rolodex I can put you in touch with, or give them a call myself. And our website is coming along. We've been doing this website. We've been working on websites for about 10 years. They've literally costed us almost $500,000 to build, and there's been several of them. And we get going on one, and then the next one. They're a total pain in the ass. These services like Shopify, I think it is, and the other ones, they make it look so easy. And for most people that do, 10 SKUs, those are really good outlets. But when you're doing multiple products, there's really nothing out there. So we're making our site to be a one of a kind, and the managing it is just as difficult as the building of it. So be patient with us. If you don't see what you're looking for, give us a call. I answer my phone all the time. It rings to my cell. Our main number rings to my cell. 7 acres. We're mainly known for rust-free Jeep parts, our frames, our tubs. But as you can see, we're known for these guys too, and partly because we get a lot of good stuff. I mean, this is some quality stuff. We don't buy wrecks very often. I mean, I would say out of the 76 Jeeps that we bought last year, which I know is small in comparison to these gigantic LKQ yards, but for us, that was a big number. There was 11 of them that came in wrecked, 11 out of 76. I really do not hunt the auctions, especially salvage ones. I like to buy them off the street. They cost a lot more to do that. But this is a perfect occasion or case when you see all this stuff in here and it's got a SKU on it. That means it's been started. If it was a transmission, it's been moved. Engines, they've been ran. If we can't test them, they go into a core pile and we sell them or we rebuild them ourselves. That's what you're buying. Okay, that's what you're paying for. So again, Happy New Year. Good luck this year. And I'm not even one that says luck, but good, whatever they say it, the saying, I don't know what it is, but off the top of my head, I'll think about it later. But anyway, yeah, that's it. Call me if you need anything, and we'll have another great year this year. I know it. I feel it. And possibly maybe baby this year. We'll see.